Thank you so much. It's a great honor to be here. I really want to thank Livable Streets for this amazing event. It's my first time speaking in this building of such great heritage, so can't be happier. Great presentations. I can't imagine I will be able to follow them up neither with nearly as good information nor on time, but I'll do my best. First of all, genius, I like it, but no. The genius here are the actual people who do all the work here, and that is, of course, the graduate students at MIT. We're fortunate in being able to attract such good intellects. So all of the work here, I just want to name them. Anson Stewart, PhD, I don't know if any of them are here. Peter Damrosch, who I do see over there, master's student, has been working on this project. Kelly Blinn, Jean Zhang, Ricardo Sanchez, Ayesha Shaid, Christian Navas, and I've missed some others. We heard about kind of this developing country. In fact, we span everywhere from Pakistan, China, Chile, Nicaragua, and of course the United States, East and West Coast. Anyway, this project, we've been fortunate enough in the second generation of it to be working closely with Livable Streets, and so that's perhaps one of the reasons why I'm talking about it here today. Essentially, our question is, well, I'm not going to belabor this, but traditional transportation planning, many of you have probably been involved in public processes, and they tend to be somewhat static, and our basic question was, don't new technologies, as epitomized by, say, open source software and open data, allow us to possibly change this in combination with, say, accelerating computational power? And so that's what CoAXs tries to do, to try to take this complexity and make it translatable and usable by many of us. And so essentially the tool we've developed is interactive. It tries to provide feedback in real time in a tangible way that we've designed that people can hopefully use together. So it's trying to maybe, you know, this is a bad analogy, but like it's a 21st century workshopping tool. This tool actually, so we have designed it to work for public transit planning, although we think it could be extendable. It uses open data, GTFS, which I'm not going to belabor, and we use it to try to show different ways of measuring benefits. Travel time savings, which is a very traditional metric, but also accessibility, the number of jobs or recreational opportunities or other things people might be able to reach in a given amount of time. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the work we've done. So CoAXs is a tool we've developed at MIT. It overlays on another open source software that's developed by a company called Conveil. We work closely with them. We originally deployed this last year. Some of you might have participated in some workshops sponsored by BAR. We did them at the Roxbury Innovation Center. And we did this around the BAR campaign for BRT planning. We since adapted this with support from the Transit Center, a non-governmental, non-profit philanthropic organization, and we've been working together with Livable Streets to test this around the idea of bus priority. So what we did was carried out some workshops, and since we're academics, we had research questions. And we had two basic research questions here. The more general and arguably the more important one is, can this actually help advocacy organizations in advancing their objectives? The second one was a little bit more pedantic or academic. Does it matter the way you demonstrate your benefits to the user? Travel time savings versus accessibility. And so we did this together with Livable Streets, as I mentioned, bus priority being the focus because of the Mass DOT bus priority study. And we carried out 4 workshops over the course of about 2.5 weeks, about a month ago. Our target audience was the advocacy committee of Livable Streets. And we had about 40 participants in total. This is probably where you'd see the really cool video of it happening, but there is no video, which is fine. This is just to show that, in fact, it is tangible. People are walking around, and you can touch the screen and change the corridors and so forth, and play with this tool. Once more, the idea being tangibility in a touchscreen setting is different than sitting at home and playing with a website, but people actually will talk to each other, and they'll exchange ideas with each other and look at how different people perceive the challenges they face and the opportunities that transit might present. And so just to give you an idea, I'm not sure how good so these are the 5 corridors that we chose. These were 5 priority corridors that were identified by Mass DOT. And these are some of the examples of what people can play with. So these slider bars, for example, show how you could increase frequency of the buses on this, or you could change the way people board, or you could change the nature of the priority, or you could change the amount of time it takes to board a vehicle at a bus stop. And then people could see, for example, here we do have a video, of how the different priority measures on these corridors might affect an origin and a destination that they are interested in. And just to give you a couple of examples, so for example, this is just one example. So if someone's starting in JP, or starting in Dedham and getting to JP, how long it might take them or how much savings they might get with the priority corridors implemented. And again, perhaps with some sliders. Now here's a different example. This is in fact, you could save 7 minutes, but you could actually get exposed, potential reach to 220,000 additional jobs. Now, I'll caveat this. It's not jobs that you might be qualified for, but this is kind of a first step. So now that other research question I had in mind, so this is just a few examples. This is still very initial research. We've only been processing these data. But in fact, my hypothesis is if you show people this idea of reach and accessibility, you might generate better ideas of the benefits. But in fact, the evidence, small sample, n equals 40, is that in fact people seem to relate more easily to that travel time savings, which to me was an interesting finding. So our next steps is, in fact, on Monday, we're meeting with the participants and maybe others that are interested from Livable Streets or beyond to share in more depth what we have found to date. We then are going to build from this tool to refine it, to make it more generalizable. Our ultimate objective is to make this a tool that other advocacy organizations around the US and eventually around the world can use, as long as you have that raw data, which in this case is drawing from OpenStreetMaps, GTFS, and some EPA-provided data about opportunities that might help enable various campaigns to achieve public transit priority in whatever city people might come from. And I will end it there. And thanks so much for your attention.